Welcome to Driven, the Unscripted Success Podcast, with your hosts, Mike Manino and Nariman Hamden, bringing you insights and stories on achieving personal, professional, and financial success.
Hey guys, I'm Nariman Hamden, and this is Driven Unscripted Success Podcast. You can subscribe to us on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple. We have another great guest on today. We have Dr. Sloan-Peña, and she is a clinical and forensic neuropsychologist at Florida Neuropsychology Associates. She is the founder, and she is a bilingual Spanish speaking and is well versed in completing neuropsychological assessment for workers' compensation, medical malpractice, personal injury, and civil forensic evaluations. How are you doing, doctor?
Good. I know that was quite a mouthful.
That was quite the mouthful, that for sure. How are you?
Good. Doing good.
Good. Thank you for coming on and taking the time to be here with us and share some of your insights. Where are you zooming in from today?
I'm in Southeast Florida, so in Broward County, kind of the outskirts of Miami.
Okay, very cool. I'm over in Naples, so we're just across Valley.
Yes.
Yeah.
I do practice in all over Florida, all over the country, but all over Florida, and I primarily see patients on the East Coast side, Miami, Broward, the West Coast side, Lee County, Collier, all the way up to Tampa, Winter Park, and everything in between.
Yeah, you're all over.
Yeah.
So why don't we start things with, why don't you give us a quick snapshot of what your business is right now, what you do, and what your company does?
Yeah, so Florida Neuropsychology Associates primarily focus on, we do clinical evaluations, so cradle to the grave. So I primarily see infants starting at 14 months who have birth injury or autism spectrum disorder, developmental delays, all the way to adults who have a history of stroke, Parkinson's, Huntington's, traumatic brain injury, and then geriatric. And so those are Alzheimer's, dementia, or what's called mild cognitive impairment, kind of everything in between. That's my clinical practice. So primarily those referrals come from primary care physicians, neurologists, cardiologists, epileptologists. And then the forensic part of my practice focuses on civil litigation. So I don't do criminal, but I do a lot of what's called civil litigation. So personal injury, medical malpractice. So if you're involved in a motor vehicle accident, I'm either retained by the plaintiff, so that would be the person who's doing the suing, or typically it's the insurance that represents the defense. And so primarily motor vehicle accidents, personal injury, slip and falls, or medical malpractice, say birth injury. So if you're if you undergo surgery, or if there's problems during pregnancy, labor, and delivery, then I will be retained to do an evaluation of the patient, the child, the infant, the toddler, or however old they are. And then I act as an expert witness. So after the evaluation, I might be deposed at a deposition, or go to trial and talk about the results of the evaluation.
Sure, that's a lot.
Yeah.
So
I have to stay busy, otherwise I get bored.
Yeah. I mean, if that doesn't keep you busy, I don't know what does.
Yeah.
So, when you think back, are there any moments that you'd say really changed the game for your career?
Goodness. I think it was postdoc. So as a neuropsychologist, it's comparable to medical school. So you have to do undergrad, 4 years of undergraduate work, and then I did 2 years in a master's program, and then I did a 4-year professional psychology degree, so a doctoral degree, and then you do a 2-year, then I did an internship, pre-doctoral internship, which was about a year, 2 years, and then I did a formal 2-year postdoctoral residency. So it's a lot of school. It's a lot of time.
It's a lot of school.
And I super appreciate all of my mentors in graduate school, my mentor in internship. But really my mentors during postdoc were incredible. They were kind of giants in the field of neuropsychology. All of them were past presidents of some of our neuropsychological boards, like NAN, Neuropsychological Academy of Neuropsychological. There's several different boards, the American Academy of Pediatric Neuropsychology, National Academy of Neuropsychology, American Academy of Clinical Neuropsychology, but all of these mentors were part of these different boards, and they're just, they were so supportive, so super smart, so super intelligent, but also really, really supportive. And so one of my mentors during postdoc, he had an evaluation who was Spanish speaking. He was not Spanish speaking. He got the referral. He said, well, are you interested? And I said, yeah, sure. I had no idea what I was doing. And it was a forensic neuropsychological evaluation for a workers' compensation case. And it went great. And after that, he just started asking me to do more and more and more. And even after residency, he hired me on as a staff neuropsychologist, started doing them more. And then he retired. He and his wife retired about 2 or 3 years ago, and he said, I'm done. I'm throwing in the towel. I'm retiring to Maine. I'm going to be on my boat. And so he sent me all of his referrals. So it really shows me that he trusts me, trusts my work, obviously thinks I'm good at what I do. And so since then, I've just been so super busy because there's very few neuropsychologists. Most people don't know what a neuropsychologist does. We're kind of like the intersection of neurology and behavior, so brain and behavior. And so there's very few neuropsychologists in the state of Florida. There's a handful of us, I think it's 7 last time I counted, that speak Spanish and do forensic neuropsychological evaluations. So since postdoc and residency, I feel like it's just been a whirlwind of busyness, but all good stuff.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, you've got like a very specific and special niche.
Yes.
That it's just there, like you said, there's not many doctors in that field, so it gives you quite the advantage. Yes. And then you speak Spanish, so I mean, there's that as well. And,
yes.
And being here in Florida, I mean, there's this huge Spanish population, and down in Southwest Florida and Southeast Florida. So good for you.
Yeah.
So how do you deal with taking risks? Is there a time when rolling the dice really worked out for you?
Taking risks. Oh my goodness. I think yes. So about 3 or 4 years ago, I had been practicing working in a group practice where I did my residency for maybe about 6 or 7 years. And I wanted to really pivot and do less clinical work and teach. And so I said, okay, let's pivot. I wanted to really focus more on teaching students everything I know, everything that I have kind of crammed up here. And in a lot of neuropsychology work, we're kind of the gatekeepers. So we'll say children who need an evaluation for autism spectrum disorder, really psychologists and neuropsychologists, typically insurance requires the evaluation be conducted by a psychologist or neuropsychologist. They have to use certain tests, and not anyone can just say, oh, your child has autism and sign the paperwork for your child to get services. There's very few people that do that with young children, 14, 18 months. And so there's year-long wait lists. Even in my private practice, I had about an 18-month wait list. And families were just desperate. So I said, oh my goodness, I really want to teach what I know to students so that there's more psychologists and neuropsychologists doing these types of evaluations. And so about 3 or 4 years ago, I said, I want to focus more on teaching. And it was a big deal because all I had done was private practice. I had focused on clinical work in graduate school, clinical work during internship, clinical work during my residency. And so I said, let me kind of pivot and focus primarily on teaching. So I started out as a neuropsychologist doing testing in one of our clinics here at NOVA Southeastern University. And then I was hired on as a full-time faculty. I'm teaching primarily neuropsychology classes. I'm the assistant director of our Neuropsychology Assessment Center, one of the clinics here. And I'm also the chief neuropsychologist in our sports medicine clinic. just got a grant to do neuropsychological and developmental evaluations for children who are survivors of NICU right here in our hospital. So that was a big, big
Yeah,
change.
I'd
Um,
say so.
and a big risk because I had taught before, but never full time, never in this role. So to go from group clinical private practice to now I'm primarily teaching and I have my forensic neuropsychological practice was a big risk, but I will tell you, best decision. Best decision. I love teaching. I love mentoring. The students are amazing. And I love being able to kind of teach all the stuff that I have going on inside of my head
Yeah,
to the students because they're the ones that are going to be doing what I'm doing now in 10, 15 years.
absolutely. How exciting that. And I mean, like if you weren't busy before, I mean, I can't even imagine what the schedule is like now, but how exciting. Good for
Yeah.
you. So what's a skill or habit you think doesn't get enough credit for contributing to your success?
Good question. I think it's small, simple things. So my husband, he's a very, very successful, awesome entrepreneur. He helps me a lot. He's one of my mentors. He's incredible. Um, and there's simple things that he has taught me, and they're really game changers. But they're things like intelligent people solve problems, or smart people solve problems. Intelligent people avoid problems. So I really focus in on things that are really important. I do time blocking. Um, it's essential. It's how I get everything done. People always say, "How do you get everything done?" Time blocking. So if I set aside, an hour to check emails, I check emails from 9 to 10, and then again from 4 to 5. If you're checking emails throughout the day, checking text throughout the day. It's very inefficient. So time blocking is really big. And then I'm really focused on not dedicating headspace, brain space to things that are not important, to things that other people can do. And from the beginning. So I'm really slow to hire people, but really quick to fire. So if somebody is making my job harder or they're not following through with something, it's not working out, I'm not going to keep trying to make it work because that's just not a good fit. Not a good
Right.
fit. So
Yeah.
so from the beginning, being really intentional about who I hire, who I hire to do what, capitalizing on people's strengths. And then my dad, he's a retired OBGYN, and he always taught me take good care of your front office staff. I don't think people really focus on that. So if you're a physician and you have a front office staff, they're the first people to see your patients. They're, front door, front gate. And so
Sure.
if your front office staff are the people that are answering the phone, the people that are scheduling, if they are inappropriate, have poor social skills, have poor customer service, that's your name, your reputation, your business on the line. So I think really focusing on your front office staff, keeping them happy. So my dad would always give him pizza. And so that's what I do with the front office staff. I make sure I bring him donuts or coffee or pizza, keeping your front office happy because
Sure.
they run your life. They run your office.
Right. Yeah. And like you said, they're the face of your business. So
Absolutely.
that's the first impression is
Absolutely.
your office right
Absolutely.
there. And yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah. Well, it kind of makes me want to come work in your front office to get some donuts there, but probably don't need them. Um, so staying on top in indie field is tough. What's something exciting you see on the horizon in your industry, and how are you getting ready for it?
Oh, neuropsychology. So specifically forensic neuropsychology, I think all businesses, but psychology, neuropsychology in general, um, we're trying to figure out how to integrate AI, but ethically and responsibly. So, for example, one of the things that I'm frequently retained to do are what are called records reviews. So attorneys will hire me to review thousands and thousands of pages of records, medical records, depositions, hospital records, and especially if somebody's in the ICU or if it's a baby who's in the NICU for weeks at a time, this could be thousands and thousands of records. And some people have tried, I will tell you unsuccessfully, to sort of farm that out to somebody in another country. And what they typically do is they'll use AI, and AI misses a lot. AI can be inaccurate. AI can give you false information. And so I think I've seen that, and I've tested it out. I've tried it. I've tried to, upload de-identified documents or de-identified records and asked AI to summarize them or to identify important information. And at this point, maybe in the future, maybe later in the game, but currently, really AI isn't at a place to do that accurately. So I think right now we're really trying to figure out in the field how to use AI to be more efficient with records review, or how to use AI to write reports. So neuropsychologists, I say this all the time to my students, report writing is kind of the bane of our existence. You're either a little bit behind on reports or a lot behind on reports, but you're always behind on reports. And so we're trying to figure out how to use AI to make report writing more smooth and faster, but also at the same time being responsible and HIPAA compliant and making sure that we're not putting people's private protected health information online. And so trying to find that balance right now, I think, is where most neuropsychologists are. And I think that in the future, AI is really going to be a game changer as it relates to report writing. And right now, I really tell people just to use it to check grammar and edit, but not to use it to write your reports. Because right now, it can be wrong, it can be inaccurate, and there's a lot of that's happening with a lot of attorneys online. You'll see they have maybe somebody in their office writing their briefs, and then when they go to trial, they find out that some of the information is completely inaccurate, it's made up, AI is hallucinating, and there's a lot of consequences to that. So I think that's going to be in the future a really, really big game changer for neuropsychologists.
Sure. I mean, we're, like you were saying, you guys are always behind on reports. I mean, which makes sense. I mean, that's a lot of information to keep track of and put in writing. So I'm sure once AI, gets tweaked properly for that, I mean, what a relief that's going to be for you.
Yes.
Students and everyone else in that field. Good gosh. So leading a team has its challenges. What's your leadership style? And can you give us an example of how it helped you through a tough spot?
Ooh, these are all good questions. So hard. I think my leadership style is to focus on people's strengths. So if somebody's strength is IT and technology, I want them to focus just on IT and technology. If somebody's strength is front desk, front office, having them focus on front desk, front office. If somebody's strength is organization, and organizing space, I have them focus just on that. And so I have found that when you have a large group of people and everybody's kind of focusing on everything, it's completely inefficient. So I really tell people, focus on your strength and stay in your lane. And I am really big on praising people. So focusing on the positive and giving them, lots and lots of praise and focusing on their strengths before we talk about growth areas or weaknesses. And one of the things that's been very challenging for people in academia, and it's not just in, we'll say, graduate schools for psychology, but in law schools, medical schools, really is this generation of individuals who are even in undergraduate. There's a lot of anxiety, a lot of depression, suicide has gone up. Part of it is due to, we know, just the increase in social media and smartphones. There's an amazing book called The Anxious Generation by a gentleman called Jonathan Haidt. And he talks about that, this just since the onset of the smartphone, this proliferation and increase in anxiety and depression. And so I think what's difficult is this generation, when you give them sort of feedback, some people just crumble. They've never, they have their parents give them so much praise, so much positive. They never have an opportunity to struggle. They never have an opportunity to fail and learn and grow. And that's one of the things he talks about in this, is that there's so much anxiety is because children haven't had an opportunity to have meaningful relationships in person, because they spend so much time online. And then when you don't have an opportunity to have those kind of back and forth appropriate social interactions and learn from other people, and also too in real life to fail, have a challenge, and then to learn that, it's not the end of the world. This is a growth opportunity. It's okay. I'm going to survive. I can learn from this. That generation, they really, really struggle when things don't go the way that they want, or when they fail, or if they have a difficulty overcoming, they kind of just crumble and fall apart. And so I've learned to focus on the positive, focus on the strength, but then also teaching people that, this isn't the end of the world. This is a learning opportunity. It's just information, and you can really grow and learn from this.
Sure. And I agree with you on that. With this the new generation is they go into fight or flight mode like that. I mean, over just any little thing they just don't have that emotional maturity to handle any situation, let alone just the littlest thing could just set them off.
Yes.
Oh, can you, why didn't you pick up your plate from the table after you ate and put it in the dishwasher? And can you grab your book that's sitting over there? And they go into this quick, panic mode. It's you could see that the wheels turn. They're about to bust, and steam is coming out of their head, which is very, very sad, And you're right. It has a lot to do with social media. Everything is it, and then with social media, it's this whole facade of everything is perfect and everything is fine, but it's not the case. That then when you're seeing real people face to face, it's they don't know how to interact with real people.
Yep. Yeah. There's a great book too. It's called Grit. I forget the author, but that's a really good one. And it's all about that, just teaching people and people learning that, you need a little bit of backbone. You need a little bit of grit to overcome. I think also too, and I've had this conversation a lot with my colleagues, I think some of it too is COVID. So we've got, this online generation plus COVID. It's just been a recipe for disaster. So one of my mentors, one of my colleagues said, it's probably going to take about 12 years. So he says that in about 12 years, we'll be through, if you will, this group of people that's really, really struggling from just online social media and really struggling from COVID.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, that's during COVID was the height of social media really being more pronounced, and then you have COVID that's isolating, a second form of isolation, and then that's all they have to go to. So, I mean, gosh, in 12 years, I mean, that's, which is kind of, scary, because this is the generation, are they going to procreate and have families for the next generation that's to come in 12 years? I mean, so it's going to be, it's a little scary. It's going to be interesting to see what the world's going to be like, because of this. How it affected this generation.
Yeah. And what we know too are anxious, what most of the research shows is anxious parents have anxious kids. So if you see an anxious mom, you're going to see an anxious child. And so it's very, I think it's really meaningful what we do in psychology and neuropsychology, because we're not only impacting that person's life, but also their family, their kids, the next generation.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you're building your dream team, what's the trait that you look for and why?
Awesome question. I think all these things we were talking about, flexibility, kind of grit, resourcefulness. So people who don't crumble or fall apart when you give them feedback. People
Sure.
that are looking for that, people that ask questions. How did I do? What did you think about that presentation? What do you think I could do better? What do you think I should research? And they problem solve. It's really hard for me when I have to work with somebody that just wants me to hold their hand. I can't do that. I need people that are going to initiate. I need people that are going to problem solve, and are going to also at the same time too, if we talk about something, doing what we talked about, right? So that makes me struggle. If we talk about something and then somebody goes out and kind of does something that we didn't even talk about, that's really difficult. So really people who are obviously super flexible and can come up with new ideas, like, yes, let's talk, let's brainstorm, but then also too, follow through with what we talked about. And then if it doesn't work, we can test it. I'm always willing to test something, but then if it doesn't work, we can try something else. And then what we talked about too, I put together a dream team of people that focus on their strengths. So right now I have in one of my teams, somebody that's just focused on organization. That's her skill. That's her, that's her go-to. I have someone else that's focused on IT and technology. Somebody else that's focused on organizing a system, like a platform online. And I tell them, stay in your lane, focus on that. Because if you get distracted with what other people are doing, you're not going to get anything done.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's not possible to be productive then. And if you don't like what you're doing, you're not going to, be productive as well. So
Exactly.
yeah, for sure. So how do you encourage your team to think outside the box and bring new ideas to the table?
Oh, great question. So I have a manager's meeting every other week, and I have like a staff meeting every week, once a week. And during those meetings, I try to be and really focus on, hey, what do you think will work? So if there's something that's not working, what do you think will work? I'm completely open to ideas, trying new things, and we test it. We might test it for a week, we might test it for a month. And then if it doesn't work, we come back together. It's not working, let's try something else.
Sure.
I'm also really big on letting the employees, so we'll say my psychometrists or my psychometricians, they do the testing for my clinical patients. I ask them, what new tests do you want to try, or what tests do you feel like will be appropriate for this patient? Or one of the things that is also new in psychology and neuropsychology, and sometimes we'll do paper pencil tests or computer tests. What's really new are iPads. So some tests that were previously administered paper pencil, now you can administer them digitally or electronically on an iPad. And so I tell my staff, if you want to administer it on the iPad, if that's easier, faster, more efficient for you, absolutely, I'll support you. Whatever's going to make you enjoy your job more, what's going to make it maybe better, faster, more effective, more efficient for you and for the patient. So I like to, and I always integrate ideas of what my staff want to try, or bringing new things to the table. I don't know everything. I don't claim to know everything. And so sometimes I'll just say, I'm open to ideas. What do you guys think? And I never belittle people. I know there's some people in my generation, I'm a Gen X and baby boomers, that will kind of just belittle people or go off on them. They might be very rigid, very hard line. And I don't think you can develop a team where people feel safe, or where you keep good people. When you have a team that they feel safe, when you have a team that they feel like they're really good at what they're doing and they're growing too, and they get more responsibility as they grow, then they're more likely to stay on.
Sure, I completely agree with that. I mean, when you make people more inclusive to collaborating as a team, as opposed to just delegating or just like, nope, this is how it's going to be, and dismissing their ideas or their creativity, it makes a person shut down and just kind of become a robot and just go with the motions and not be happy. It's like, you don't want that.
Yeah.
So
And I don't want people that are just here, for a paycheck. I want people
right.
to feel like they love what they do. They're enjoying what they
Sure.
do. I love neuropsychology. It's kind of like putting together these pieces of a puzzle to help somebody. And it's so meaningful. We have families that will say, I have parents that will say, "Oh my gosh, Dr. Sloan-Peña, we've been waiting years to have this diagnosis," or "Now I understand what's been going on with my child," or "Thank you so much for clarifying this. Thank you so much for
Yeah.
identifying that, my mom or dad has Alzheimer's. Now we can get them started on the right medication to slow the progression of the disease," or, "Thank you so much for identifying this traumatic brain injury," or,
Sure.
and so it's really meaningful what we do. And so when people are involved that also believe in this, that love neuropsychology, that love helping people, then also too, they're going to be really invested in what we're doing.
Absolutely. So this is the question I always like answering or asking, and I kind of alluded to it in the beginning. So what does a day in your life look like, and how do you juggle work and everything else?
Great question. I'm also a mom. I have 2 boys. Awesome husband. We've been married 22 years. Also have a super busy with just life and my church and my spiritual family as well. So I'm super busy during the week at NOVA Southeastern University, where I teach. So I'm in our sports medicine clinic twice a week, seeing student athletes in the community and here at NOVA who have mild traumatic brain injury or concussion. I'm teaching half day Tuesday, all day Thursday, and then the rest of the week I'm doing either meeting with students doing research, meeting with students that I'm, assisting them with their dissertation or directed study. And then also too, throughout the week, I will do write reports for the forensic patients or have an evaluation for the forensic private practice. I also see patients on Saturdays, which also is really helpful. A lot of families like that because they don't have to pull their child out of school.
Sure.
A lot of the forensic patients like it too because they don't have to, get out of work. They can do the evaluation on the weekends. So during the week, it's mostly focused on teaching and at NOVA, and then the weekends, I'm focused on the forensic part of my practice. And then Sunday is family and church and my spiritual support. Because if you're just focused on work, and I'm sure you've had so many people on the show say this, but you have to have a life outside of work.
Absolutely.
You have to do things you enjoy. And whatever that is for you. I say I'm allergic to exercise. I don't like exercise.
It's a good thing to be allergic to.
I don't like exercise. I'm allergic to it. I say when I exercise, I get hot and sweaty and I get heart palpitations and difficulty breathing. That's how I know I'm allergic to it. So
you sound like my oldest daughter.
yeah, I don't like it. I don't like it. Don't make me do it. So I love genealogy. I'm really big on genealogy and ancestry.com and spending time with my family, spending time with my my spiritual family. So I think that having a life outside of your work keeps you sane, keeps you balanced.
Sure.
I love tea. I'll just, I love a hot cup of tea, take walks with my husband. We have our date night every week. So those things really, really keep me grounded. And like I mentioned before, time blocking helps me get everything done effectively.
Sure. So has there been a book, a podcast, or someone that's really changed your outlook or approach?
Good one. Oh, a lot. I love Mel Robbins' Let Them. Awesome book. Goodness, I love the 80-20 rule, which is all about, focusing on 80% of things that focusing on 20% of things that give you 80% of the result. The 3-day work week is another great one, where you can essentially, you just hone in on certain things instead of trying to do a lot over, 5 or 7 days. Those are some good ones. There's a lot more, just like boundaries, Henry Cloud, that's a really good one that can help you kind of personally, because I think if going back to this generation, you can get involved in a lot of drama with people.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Good gosh.
You can get pulled.
Yes.
You can get pulled into so much drama. And so boundaries is a good one, really learning healthy boundaries. I think, there's a lot of people that might say that they don't have a family or a healthy support system. Then go out there and find it. You can create that, while maybe at the same time saying, well, I'm going to set healthy boundaries with people that are not supportive, that are not safe. So that's another one that's really been a good one personally too.
Great. So how do you tackle learning new things, especially stuff that's way outside of your comfort zone?
Tackle learning new things. If it's really outside of my comfort zone, I hire someone else to do it.
That's a great answer.
I hire someone else to do it. Yeah. If it's not in my wheelhouse, I find someone that's really good at it and hire them to do it. So my website, I'm not going to spend, that would take me like 50 hours to put together the website and do SEO stuff and set up my profile on LinkedIn. And I hire people to do all of that. I hire people to take care of anything that's IT. That's not my area of expertise, not my strength. And it would just take me so much time to do it.
Yes.
Whereas I will do, the records review and report writing and testing with the forensic patients. And because that's my area of expertise. And if I've got to be deposed or, if I go to trial, they're going to be asking me questions about my work. I need to make sure that I'm able to, answer them reasonably. So if it's something that's not in my wheelhouse and I don't know how to do out of my area out of my comfort zone, I hire someone else to do it.
Yeah, I like that answer. I do the same. Like, nope, here, let me find someone that can do that. Well, it sounds like things are going well for you and your business. As you're looking towards the future, I'm wondering if or how you create passive income or if you have invested in the past.
Awesome question. Yes. So it's kind of separate from the business, but my husband, I mentioned him earlier, he's a really successful entrepreneur. So years ago, my boys, now they're 13 and 19, but when they were younger, and Minecraft, I don't know if you're familiar with that. It's a video game. Yeah.
Yeah. 3 kids.
Yeah. So Minecraft came out. My boys loved it. And my husband was like, hey, let's write a book about Minecraft. And our boys were the target audience. We kind of wrote this book with them. And it was, just like an Amazon bestseller. It's called Diary of a Minecraft Zombie. And years ago, we were nominated for a Nickelodeon's Kids' Choice Award. And kids love it. Scholastic bought it. Now I don't know, we're up to book like 40 or something in the series.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So that was just something that happened when Minecraft came out, and kids love it. Parents love it because their kids love reading it. They're engaged with it. And then after that, my husband just started writing more and more books and children's books. And so that we've kind of done it as a family. When our kids were younger, now they're like, we have to give them to other people's kids to kind of test out. So the books that we wrote years ago are still generating a lot of passive income for our family. And then my husband's also really, really great with Bitcoin and investing. So he just tells me what to invest in. And that's also been really, really great with passive income. I think in neuropsychology and in psychology, you can generate passive income, but it's not super passive. So you can have psychologists and psychometrists kind of doing the testing for you. But it's not super passive because your hands and feet are kind of still in the practice. So it's still really a business, but I'm currently writing a book textbook with some colleagues. And so that's also another way to generate passive income in academia, at least.
Sure. I mean, how great is that to have had your kids collaborate on the book as well and for it to be as successful as it is?
It was a lot of
Pretty
fun.
cool. So what's on the horizon for you? Any big goals or projects you're excited about?
Yes. So I'm currently working on a book on neuropsychology with a colleague that's going to focus on kind of the different neurocognitive and neurological diseases and the neurocognitive impact on those diseases. Just got a grant here at NOVA Southeastern University with our Tiny Tots and NICU clinic. So infants and children that are discharged from the NICU, we're kind of following them at different ages. So at, around 6 months to a year, 18 months to 2 years, and then 3 years, really focusing on successful outcomes and neurodevelopmental outcomes in these NICU survivors. And so we're growing that clinic. There's very few NICU follow-up clinics in South Florida, definitely in Southeast and in Southwest Florida, very few follow-up clinics for NICU babies. And so we're really hoping that that will grow to become a great resource for families here in Southeast Florida.
Exciting.
And I also too, I really want to focus on Spanish speaking neuropsychology students. So we have the Hispanic Neuropsychological Society, which provides a lot of support to people who are bilingual Spanish speaking, because that is a really underserved population. So I really support those students because they're going to be the next generation of neuropsychologists.
Well, that's fantastic. I thoroughly enjoyed chatting with you and having you on. Thank you so much for your time today and sharing some of your insights. If anyone wanted to find out more about what you're doing or needs your help, how does one get a hold of you?
Yeah, at Florida Neuropsychology Associates.com, and I'm Dr. Sloan-Peña at Florida FL Neuropsychassociates.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on and taking the time.
Yeah.
And thank you for tuning in, guys. We'll see you guys next time.
Thanks for listening to Driven, the Unscripted Success Podcast. Want to share your story? Apply to be a guest at drivensuccesspodcast.com/guest.